They've gotten a hell of a lot of criticism, much of it well-deserved, but they deserve some credit for this.
Representative Seth Moulton of Massachusetts is talking about important changes at Norfolk Southern, the embattled owner of the train that derailed in February in East Palestine, Ohio. The railroad just disclosed a total overhaul of what can trigger millions of dollars in cash awards for its executives.
Senator, I'm committing to do what's right.
It's a major shift in corporate strategy that comes after an exclusive series of Scripps News investigative reports that exposed how the company paid out millions of dollars in cash to executives for taking cost-cutting actions that critics say made trains longer and more dangerous. What our Scripps News reporting revealed outraged members of Congress like Moulton, who in early March promised to push for change.
This is a great credit to you and your investigation that we know about this now, and we're going to be zeroing in on this much more closely.
At the time, Senator J.D. Vance piled on the pressure.
And instead of paying, massive bonuses to railway CEOs, I think we should be asking some tough questions about why we lag behind the rest of the world when it comes to safety.
They have cut costs in every conceivable way on safety.
After seeing our report, Senator Jeff Merkley took action and formally wrote Norfolk Southern demanding to know whether the railroad was going to make changes and start directly incentivizing its leaders to make the railroad safer. And just this week, Norfolk Southern told Scripps News through a spokesperson, the compensation of our entire management team will now be based in part on performance on related safety metrics, saying we will continue working to get better. The company's recent Securities and Exchange Commission filing shows new triggers for cash awards. They now include injury rates, accident rates, and even on-time performance. And in what the company calls its new strategy, Norfolk Southern changed course on what had been the biggest driver of cash awards, a controversial financial target known on Wall Street as the operating ratio, which put a premium on squeezing costs and increasing revenues. Critics say it prioritized cost-cutting over safety. The company dropped it entirely.
Operating ratio is gone from the cash incentives.
The disappearance of operating ratio from the bonus criteria for Norfolk Southern executives is a major accomplishment.
Steve Dittmeyer is the Federal Railroad Administration's former director of research. He spoke out in our first reports about how the old focus on that controversial Wall Street metric encouraged an emphasis on longer trains, leading to bigger pileups.
Norfolk Southern obviously felt pressure from Congress, from the news stories that Scripps put out on this matter, and I think Alan Shaw and the board decided that this shift had to be made.
Norfolk Southern's new incentive structure for executives ties 10% of its cash awards directly to safety.
I think that's, on one hand, wonderful, but they are still fairly small percentages of the bonus package.
Congressman Moulton says Norfolk Southern's new willingness to tie safety performance to cash awards for its leadership is long overdue.
I think it will make a difference in safety. I think Norfolk Southern is demonstrating some real leadership here, and I hope other major railroads follow their lead.
Now, Representative Moulton does offer a note of caution here, saying that the changes should incentivize safety changes, but he says ultimately it'll be up to the railroad to see how much money they actually spend on these improvements and other actions that they take. Chance?
Mark, it's evident your investigations here at Scripps News had a real impact in this case. What are your sources saying about the future of carrying these hazardous loads across America by train?
Well, it's a great question, and it's important to note that trains are noted to be a lot more safe than carrying hazardous materials over the interstates, over trucks. And so there's still a big push to carry these materials on the railways. But the key thing here is, even though they're supposed to be safer, these new incentives are really being welcomed by members of Congress as something that should make the rails even that much better, that much safer, to hopefully prevent the next East Palestine. Chance?
Senior investigative correspondent Mark Greenblatt, relentless is the word for your process of reporting, and in this case, resulting in real change. Thank you, Mark. Nice job.